Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and this is the Piracy Show. Now, first off, on ship updates on Friday, I said this is going to be the last ship updates, and then I'm going to be on vacation for 2 weeks. Well, it turns out, somehow, I had gotten my dates all screwed up in my head, so even though all my vacation is booked, my flight's booked, and all that's fine, I had somehow leapt ahead a week in the space-time continuum without the benefit of a flux capacitor or enough plutonium to generate 1.21 gigawatts of power. I thought that this was the weekend of the 15th, 16th, 17th, and so I don't know how. Maybe it was the long weekend, the Canada Day, July 4th long weekend. It just somehow screwed me up. And this weekend, the weekend before I fly out, it was going to be a rib fest. And so I was getting all excited to go to that. That was the day after. And so I woke up Saturday, got all my stuff together, and then headed out towards rib fest. And as I was driving there, I said, I don't see any smoke, which when you're doing that much barbecue, all the different booths at once, you can see the smoke for a ways. And I couldn't smell anything in the air, and I thought, this is messed up. Where is it? Did they move it? And so I get to the location where it's supposed to be, and there's just like some little other festival thing going on. What the hell is this? So I look on my phone, and that's when I realized I had somehow just gotten my wires crossed and leapt ahead a week in time. So I thought this was actually 1 week later. So technically, this Friday's ship updates is going to be the last one for 2 weeks, and then I'm going on vacation. So there will be one more ship updates, but it does give me a little bit more time to cook up some content for you guys while I am away. So, you take the good, you take the bad, Anyways, what I wanted to get into first was the Bengal carrier. Now, why didn't I include the Bengal carrier in ship updates? Well, frankly, of course I'd seen around the verse, I'd seen all those shots of it, them talking about fitting the Idris in the hangar, all that. It was all really exciting stuff, but the problem is it's not a ship that you can buy, and it's not a ship that you can immediately fly, nor is it a ship that you would probably want to fly. But we'll get into that in a second. So, technically speaking, I kind of set it aside because I wanted to use it for this show, because there was something else I wanted to talk about along with it, and so we're going to get into that now. Now, first of all, when I was saying it's probably not a ship that you would want to fly, the reason is, and maybe there might be some people out there who will know what I'm talking about, but EVE Online players will know how much of a complete pain in the ass it is to protect a persistent asset, and that's what the Bengal carrier is. Remember, let's say you owned a Bengal carrier, you're the captain, you own it. You log off, that ship is still there. So you got to arrange to have people, within your org or alliance or whatever of orgs, who are going to be there to defend that ship, people that you can trust 24/7. And for people who played EVE Online, I did back in the old days of Post Warfare. I haven't played, in quite a few years now, but I remember, having to set strontium timers so that if they attacked, it would come off of reinforced mode. If that was what it was called, reinforced mode or whatever, it would come out of that right around your peak fleet time, so you would have the best chance to defend it. All that kind of crap. Doing that stuff day in and day out, and having to guard all these assets and manage all these assets like this all the time, these persistent assets, is an incredible pain in the ass. And back in the day, I had gotten quite good at it. I had gotten really, really good at it. For some of the old school EVE Online players, this might come as a bit of a shock, but I haven't played EVE Online since probably about 2009 was the last time I played. And like, I have a mothership. I think for some patch they moved all the motherships to Orvol, so you could change fighters to a new type of fighter or some kind of equipment. But that is basically where my Galente mothership rests. Hopefully. And hopefully just not lost in deep space. But yeah, that is, I have had that mothership. There's probably, I think at the time, 32 billion ISK worth of mods on that ship, and it's just sitting, it's been logged off for years, and I haven't touched it. And so that kind of gives you an idea of, how tiring that gameplay can quickly become. Even having something like a mothership can really wear you out after time. I can't imagine having a Titan, even though one of them was offered to me at one point. I just said, no, I draw the line at the mothership. I learned my lesson. I don't want a Titan. Even though, at certain times an Erebus would have been cool, but I probably would have gone more for the Ragnarok myself. But all of that aside, caring for a persistent asset like that would be such a pain in the ass that I don't think I would ever want one, or a Vanduul Kingship if you could capture one of those. It really wouldn't interest me at all to have a ship like that. Just the maintenance, the effort, and the coordination with so many people, it would just be such a headache, at least in my opinion. So that's kind of what attracts me to a ship like the Polaris, as far as it's been described to us so far. Roughly about Carrack sized, hopefully a military vessel with some real punch to it. That is something that I'm more interested in, because it would be a more manageable crew, a more manageable asset to deal with, but something with some real punching power in regards to a lot of the capital ships that we have access to now, in terms of versus, say, an Orion, a Reclaimer, a Carrack, anything of that nature, an 890 jump. Hopefully something that would be fairly dominant in that arena. And that's why I look at a capital ship like that. But a kilometer-long super capital, to be perfectly honest, even if one was offered to me based on my past experience and based on my experience in EVE Online and getting a mothership and saying, oh wow, this is really cool. Oh my god, I can't go anywhere without at least 200 people. F this. That's kind of what kind of soured me on the Bengal carrier. But it's not to say that I don't like the look of the Bengal carrier, or I didn't like the reveal. I thought the reveal was very impressive. And it did pique my interest a little bit again in Squadron 42. Not to say that my interest, it's really never been there. I've always been more here for Star Citizen. Squadron 42 is just like this side thing that I can go do, when I'm bored, or when I don't have people online to work with, so I can just go do that. But it really doesn't interest me. But seeing those shots of the interior of the Bengal carrier with the Retaliator coming up on the elevator, and they're talking about, oh, you can fit an Idris in the hangar and it's a kilometer long, those giant guns underneath it, that was very impressive. And I kind of thought, oh, it'd be kind of cool to walk around on that flight deck. And it did lift my interest level a little bit in Squadron 42, but I'm more of a Star Citizen guy. Squadron 42 is just the side thing, to me, at least. So, even if Chris Roberts came out and said, oh, it's not going to make it out this year, it's going to make it early 2017, the only thing about that statement that would worry me is like, okay, but if the ship guys are done, they can go do our shit, right? Whatever. Okay, you take all the time you want, but, get started on my Reclaimer. That would be my big concern out of an announcement like that. So I don't know. But another thing about the Bengal carrier that kind of got me thinking was, they showed us the interior. They showed us all these, gladii, whatevers. in the hangar, and they showed the Retaliator coming up, and so that they're revealing all of this interior stuff, sort of like the Morrow tour with the Idris. Really, when we're talking about not revealing the Idris now, to not spoil Squadron 42, is it really a spoiler? Would it really be a spoiler to have the Idris? Like, if the Idris is flyable and ready to rock and roll right now, would it really ruin Squadron 42 if people could get in their Idris and fly it around? I mean, would it give away critical plot points? Or would it, just like you would get in it and you would say, oh, you lose the wow factor of getting into it. But in terms of like now having seen the interior of the Bengal carrier, right? Like seeing the ships coming up on the elevator and all that. If you see the interior of the Idris now, you're not going to be like, oh my God, this is so huge. Oh, wow. You're going to be like, it's like a baby version of the Bengal, which I've already seen. I mean, at this point, having shown that footage, is it really a loss to just say, okay, just put the Idris in the game? And that's kind of what I was saying, when we were talking about Gamescom a couple of weeks ago, and I said, they've debated it, and they've openly debated it, bringing out the Idris earlier and letting us play with the Idris earlier. At this point, having seen the Bengal carrier, why not? And obviously the Idris isn't the most wow ship in Star Citizen, clearly. Letting us play with the Idris doesn't really give away any major plot points. It's not like, the script for Squadron 42 is written on the walls. Why not just put it out there and let people play with it? I mean, for people who are maybe more interested in Squadron 42, I'm sure there are people out there like that if you're watching this video. Would you really be that put out to see the Idris now? Rather than later? Because, I mean, after the Morrow tour and now after the Bengal carrier interior reveal and the exterior, I just don't see why you should keep the Idris under wraps now. Maybe not Gamescom, maybe CitizenCon, but I really think that you should just, like, if it's ready to rock and roll, if it's good to go, just throw it in the game and let people play with it. I think that would be a cool thing. People can get used to landing on the little carrier and doing their thing. I think that would be a cool thing to have in the game. But that's just me. That's just my opinion. I don't know. There's probably some people out there who are hardcore. No spoilers. No, I don't even want to see it or know about it until I play Squadron 42. Because there's probably people here who are like the same way that I look at Squadron 42 and say, I don't care about that. I want Star Citizen. There's probably people who are like, I don't care about Star Citizen. I want Squadron 42. And then you got to kind of be sensitive towards that as well. But I don't know if it really constitutes a reveal, or a spoiler at this point. I think that we've just leapt past that, and at this point, having seen the Bengal carrier now, why not just put it in? I don't know. That's my opinion. But yeah, you know what? That's just about it for this week. Of course, there will be a ship updates on Friday, as long as I get the dates right, and then I will enjoy my Ribfest, and then I will go on vacation next week. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and thanks for watching.
Quantum travel initiated.